Hello, everyone. This is Jay Dobbins on the Marvel DC Multiverse, and we're now at episode 443. And I'll be discussing one topic, which is MCU movies that tie into the multiverse so far. So, we're pretty much into multiverse saga, and so far, you have 4 movies, which are done by Marvel Studios, that tie into the multiverse. And while you have 2 Sony movies that tie into it as well. Well, actually, not 2, but more like 3. So, but anyway, let's start with, right now you have 4 movies that tie into the multiverse, which is Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, Spider-Man No Way Home, and of course the Marvels, which I reviewed a week ago. So, yeah, it's kind of, another thing too. For the Sony movies, you got the Venomverse, obviously. So, yeah, Venom 2 is part of the multiverse, and along with Morbius. So, you kind of wonder, like, okay. And, obviously, if you see Kang in any of these films, obviously you're going to have the multiverse. But then you also have Doctor Strange, which takes place after the events of Endgame, obviously. So, however, it takes place after. I think it takes place after the events of Spider-Man No Way Home, because don't forget he created a spell that the goal was to help everyone forget that Peter Parker was Spider-Man. Now, then he created a new spell to where nobody remembers Peter Parker, which is crazy. And then, of course, that also created some nasty side effects. Not only did it transport the previous villains from the previous Spider-Man films into their universe, however, some who were in Earth 616 were transported elsewhere. And also, the spell also created another door to other universes, which Wong did warn him that when it comes to the multiverse, you don't know who or what's going to come out. So anybody can come out from anywhere. Like Carnage, Onslaught, Judas Traveler, Apocalypse, Galactus, those are the ones that you really don't want coming out from a different universe. Because that's going to be very catastrophic. Then, of course, you have, Ant-Man and the Wasp. So you have Kang the Conqueror, who can travel to multiple universes, multiple realities. And in the post-credit scene, there was millions of Kangs. So that's a problem. Then, of course, you have Spider-Man No Way Home, when, of course, Doctor Strange creates a spell to, help everyone forget that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Therefore, it created a gateway and allowed villains to come out, along with the 2 previous Spider-Mans as well. Then, of course, the Marvels. But the thing is, you didn't know that it tied into the multiverse to the end of the film, which is the post-credit scenes where Monica Rambeau was stranded in a different universe where the X-Men exist, and an alternate version of her mother. So, then of course Venom 2, where Eddie Brock was transported into the MCU of Earth 616 from his universe because of Doctor Strange's spell. The first spell, rather. But the second spell transported him back. However, it left behind a symbiote. So, or a small portion of that symbiote. And then, of course, Morbius, where the Vulture, who was in the Spider-Man Spider-Man Homecoming film, was transported into the Venomverse because of Doctor Strange's second spell. Because I should have known that was going to happen. Which explains why, the trailer, because everybody's wondering, like, wait a minute, what is Vulture doing in the Morbius trailer? Everybody was wondering about that, and we're thinking, okay, maybe it's the multiverse, or maybe it's part of the MCU. It's kind of, but I wasn't sure. So, but anyway, so yeah, that's how obviously that's how those 4 movies tie into the multiverse. Then, of course, you have the TV shows that also tie into the multiverse, which is Marvel's What If, season 1, obviously. Then you have Loki, season 1, and, of course, season 2, along with WandaVision. So those are the 3 films that tie into the multiverse. Now, Hawkeye, obviously, it does not include Hawkeye, Falcon and Winter Soldier, or Secret Invasion. Wait a minute, I might have to watch that one again. Get a night, just to make sure. But of course, the Daredevil. For Daredevil, it might tie into the multiverse. You never know. Or Echo. It might tie into the multiverse. Maybe. Well, only time will tell. So we have to see these movies first. You have to see the TV shows first before we. That way we'll know for a fact. So, yeah. And then one thing, one thing I don't understand is that, okay, you have like at least 22 films that, from the Infinity Saga. Like, for example, however, there was half of the films that tied into the Infinity Saga. Now, what I mean by tying into the Infinity Saga is that the 11 out of 22 films, involve, these 11 films involve Infinity Stones. So, like, for example, but yeah, these 11 films, the 11 films have these 11 films tied into the Infinity Stones, pretty much. Like, for example, you have Captain America. With Captain America, the Tesseract, Thor, Tesseract, Avengers, Tesseract and the Scepter, Thor: Dark World, the Ether, and let's see, Guardians of the Galaxy, the Orb, Avengers: Age of Ultron, the Scepter. Then, of course, Doctor Strange, the Eye of Agamotto, Thor: Ragnarok, the Tesseract, and then Avengers: Infinity War, all the Infinity Stones, pretty much. And Avengers: Endgame, all the Infinity Stones as well. And, of course, Captain Marvel, you have the Tesseract. So, these 11 films were the only films that involved Infinity Stones. So, but the point is that there are more films, like when it comes to Infinity Saga, half of those films tied into tied to the Infinity Stones. While in the Multiverse Saga, you only got 4 films from Marvel Studios that tie into the multiverse. You're kind of wondering, like, okay, they have all these shows so far on Disney Plus and all these other movies, but only 4 tie into the multiverse? That's crazy. Obviously, the multiverse is not important. Now, here's the thing. See, these other films should have tied into the multiverse. You know, especially Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. That should have tied into the multiverse. You know, they had a chance there to create a new T'Challa. You know, they could have introduced a new T'Challa. Like, they could have introduced a multiverse T'Challa from a different universe. And then in the next film, they could explain, okay, how he got from one universe to Earth 616. You know, they could have done that. You know, Shuri could have, discovered the multiverse right there. But Ryan Coogler, got caught up in his feelings and did his own thing. Not only did the film not tie into the multiverse, which is supposed to be part of the multiverse saga, you didn't even have the Avenger cameos. So, T'Challa's dead, and not a single Avenger showed up at the frickin' funeral. So, yeah, Ryan Coogler dropped the ball, and like I said, he obviously most of the material had nothing to do with the comics. It's like he pretty much just did his own thing and got caught up in his feelings on top of that. By refusing to separate reality from fiction. T'Challa dies, therefore, Chadwick Boseman dies, therefore T'Challa dies with him. That's pretty crazy. But if they had introduced a multiverse T'Challa, like an alternate version, where he could have been played by John David Washington, he could have been played by what's his name? Trevante Rhodes. It could have been him, or I would say, I would say definitely Trevante Rhodes or John David Washington. So, could have been them, any of them. So that's why I'm kind of like, if they had done that, the movie could have doubled, and the comic books fans would have been aware, like, okay, they would have found out later on that, oh, wait a minute, there's a post-credit scene or an after-credit scene where, because obviously in the post-credit scene they introduced T'Challa's son, but in the after-credits they could have had it to where, okay, T'Challa gets transported, to where T'Challa gets transported from one universe to the Earth 616 universe, pretty much. So they could have introduced a new T'Challa that way. And I'm thinking, like, okay, why didn't they just do that? It could have worked, and you could have gotten 40% of the comic book fans on board. Therefore, the movie could have made at least $1 billion, or it could have made $100 million more if they had just done that. So yeah, they could have, that film could have tied into the multiverse. So yeah, they dropped the ball, obviously, on that film. So, but so yeah, like I said, so far, you got 4 films from Marvel Studios that tie into the multiverse, and make that, but 6 Marvel films if you count Spider-Man. No, not Spider-Man, sorry. If you count Venom 2 and Morbius, then that's going to be 6, Marvel films altogether. But however, you got 4 films from Marvel Studios and 2 films from Sony. So all 6 of those films, tie into the multiverse so far. So I'm not counting the TV shows, but yeah, 3 TV shows so far tie into the multiverse. But She-Hulk definitely does not. Falcon and Winter Soldier, definitely not. So now you have other films like, okay, like for example, you have Deadpool 3, which is going to be coming out, and then Fantastic Four I'd say probably, I think that's going to tie into the multiverse at some point, but definitely Deadpool 3. Avengers Kang Dynasty and Avengers Secret Wars. So that's definitely going to tie into the multiverse. So, for real. And then as far as TV shows, you got What If season 2, Loki season 2, and I think they're going to do. I heard rumors they're going to do a season 3 of What If. So that definitely is going to. I definitely would love to see that. And I think that if they do. I think they're going to do a Maximum Carnage film, with I think Madam Web. I think that movie's going to tie into the multiverse as well because she can transport teleport from one universe to the next. I think that's how Tom Holland's Spider-Man is going to tie into that. So I think that, the next Spider-Man film is going to tie or merge with Sony, the Venomverse, question is, how is he going to get there? Because I'm pretty sure that he's going to find out that Vulture disappeared from prison all of a sudden. So now he's got to figure out a way to get him from the Venomverse to Earth 616. So I think he's going to figure out. I think the only way he's going to get there is by either the Beyonder or Madam Web, which I think that's why she has her own film right now. But yeah, that's pretty much it. When it comes to sagas, there are more films that tied into one saga, which is the Infinity Saga. Yeah, 22 films. Half of the films tied into the Infinity Saga. That's half. But for the multiverse, half of the films did not tie into that. Matter of fact, far less films tied into that, which is an embarrassment. It's like the multiverse is not even that important. It's kind of weird. I'm thinking like you have all these shows and all these movies, and they're supposed to be part of the multiverse saga, but it's not tying into that. Like they don't talk about the multiverse in most of the films or TV shows. They don't even. It's like nobody. It's like nothing. There's nothing that has anything to do with the multiverse. Which is one thing I don't understand. And hopefully, Feige can explain that to us later on in the future, but probably not. But anyway, that concludes this topic. Feel free to visit us and like us. Feel free to follow us on Instagram. We are available on iTunes, Google Play Music app, Spotify, and of course YouTube.